Hi, welcome to the Avaz webinar. We hope to be starting very shortly. Please stand by until 12 p.m. Pacific time. Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Avaz webinar. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedules to join us. This is Lalita Nagarajan from the Avaz team. I'll be taking you through a 1 hour session, which would include some introduction to Avaz and with a demo of Avaz and its features. You are most welcome to ask me questions, and you can do that by posing your questions on the control panel under the questions tab. You can send in your questions and I'll definitely respond to you. So I'll be starting with a brief introduction of myself, followed by the company and what Avaz is all about. My name is Lalita Nagarajan, and I take care of Avaz support. I've been with the team for several years now, and we have worked closely with several SLPs, schools, a lot of parents and children from across the world. Um, as I had mentioned, you are free to ask any questions using the question section in the control panel of the GoToWebinar screen that you have. If you have any problems with either audio or the visual, please send in a chat message on the chat section of the control panel. You would see it right at the bottom. I hope that you are able to hear me and see the screens as well. So this is a brief about the Avaz story. We had started it way back in 2007 when it actually started as a dedicated device for communication. We had researched with over 500 children and 25 schools from across the world and spoke to several parents and children when we had our first device. And that sort of refined, and we released the first version of Avaz as software in 2009. And it went on to release as an iPad-based app in 2012. And we were recognized along the way by MIT's Technology Journal, where it was featured as one of the top 35 innovations of the world. It also featured in a TED Talk and was the subject of a TED Talk in 2013. After 2014, we had brought in Avaz in several other languages and platforms. It did also launch in Android, and we have several localized versions in Spanish and Danish, Italian, and also in Indian languages, also French and Spanish. So there are several versions of Avaz, and we do hope to take it to more children across the world. So what we will be talking about today would be how Avaz grows with your child and how you can include it and integrate it into your daily routine. So this is something that Avaz also provides. We had come up with an app called Avaz Together briefly, which then got integrated back into the Avaz app. The main purpose of that was we felt that we shouldn't just give Avaz as an app for children, but also supplement it and include parent training or caregiver training as part of the Avaz app, which is what gives you ideas on how to integrate it into the child's life. Also, Avaz has several ways by which you can personalize Avaz and customize it to your child's needs. So there are several parts of the customization that I'll be taking you through, and also some parts of the communication strategies that are there in Avaz. There are specific tips and strategies that are used. So we've tried to share some of the best practices of SLPs across the world, which is basically come into the module called the dashboard, which is something that I'll show you. So Avaz is primarily, we have about, it basically caters to complex communication needs, as you would know, non-verbal, partially verbal, and single word communicators. And it does help children on the autism spectrum, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, etc., any child with verbal challenges. So Avaz is basically a system which has about, it has a keyboard and a picture mode. And there are, we have used more than 5,000 words of vocabulary. We use symbol, sticks, images. It does have a keyboard and a picture mode, so it is a robust AAC system. And we have designed vocabulary that helps communication. So we have used communication pragmatics as the center of it, and we do encourage all caregivers to be partners in the implementation and intervention, which is what would yield the best results. So whether it be the SLPs or the teachers or the parents and friends and family, everyone can be a part of this communication journey for the child. That would be the most successful intervention that is possible. And specifically in Avaz, we do encourage aided language input, modeling as we know it, because that is what we have seen, as research has said, is the most effective way of communication intervention. And how do we do this? Through modeling. And so there is a specific parts of Avaz, which is part of the dashboard, which tells parents or teaches parents who are not very familiar with what is modeling and what is aided language input. It talks about what is communication pragmatics and how you can go beyond requesting, so that the parent or the aid is not limiting themselves to merely requesting and teaching the child how to request. So to give you a brief about the Avaz vocabulary, as I mentioned, we have used symbol sticks images, and the vocabulary organization is based on the research done by several stalwarts, including Gail Van Tattenhove, who has published several papers on what is the best methods of organizing vocabulary. We've also incorporated a lot of pragmatics, so it is a variation of the basic core word vocabulary and design. We've incorporated a lot of core words into it because we believe that that is what leads to snug or spontaneous novel utterance generation, and that is something we definitely believe in. So we have also used the Fitzgerald color code, as you would see it as we go along. So let me take you through a demo of Avaz. So you would be able to see the demo, see the screen. I hope that is visible. So this is the main Avaz screen, and you can see that they are color coded, and this is the Fitzgerald color code, which is green for verbs, which is based on part of speech, blue for adjectives, yellow for pronouns, etc. And it is also organized from left to right, if you can see it. For example, I can tap any of these and it would, the picture enlarges, which is for reinforcing the visual aspect. So you can say, I want, and let's say we go to
Thanks. Ball.
I want ball.
I want ball.
So this is a very simple 3-word communication. Now, if you see that this is a very basic screen arrangement, we do have vocabulary that is arranged in the form of folders, and these are pragmatically driven, so that we have, for example, if you have places, you have questions, you have describe, so you can see that each of these typically, whether we look at actions or describe, so it sort of makes it easier for you to locate words that you want to use and make it more pragmatically driven. So describe would typically contain descriptive words, which is adjectives, and you have more of them in the folders below. People contains pronouns and people, family, and it's further subdivided,
Food,
logically divided, breakfast, lunch, dinner, fruits, etc. And then you have places colored, you have questions, which are gray. So you can add to this set of words and phrases Now you see a quick folder. This is for quick communication, used for frequently used phrases. So this makes the whole communication much quicker because you can have ready to use phrases and stock sentences here, like, for example, about me, or I need help. So you can say, my name is so and so, and I live here. I use Avaz. I study in the school.
Topics.
And then you can have specific topics which are of interest to the child, and you can add your own custom
music
vocabulary here. So you can even add specific songs that the child likes. So you can customize the entire vocabulary, and I'll show you how you can do that. So this is the basic Avaz picture mode. On the right, when you see a code words. So this has a bunch of code words that are used here, and they're all divided by color code, and so you can add more to this. And then there is a mistake button.
I made a mistake
below the code words, which is something that the child can use to say that he's made a mistake. Then there is an alert button. This is just to alert the caregiver to say if the child has something to speak or something to communicate in the middle of a class, in a classroom session. He can alert the teacher if he has something to say. So this is, we have okay, I will show you the edit button. This is the edit mode where you can add your own vocabulary. You can change the locations, you can do any of that. So let me go to, let's say, the food vocabulary, and I can add a new word, or I can add many items together as well. Okay, let me go back home and search for crafts. I can add a crafts. So there is a craft folder here. So as you can see, when I do a search, it searches and locates the word for me. Now if I want to add a bunch of I can add many items together, and let's say I want to add a pair of scissors here. I'm not sure if it's there. So I can add a few words. Maybe I can add yellow and a few colors. So as you can see, it has added a few words. It has added the scissors. So I can even readjust these. The yellow spelling was wrong, so it doesn't locate the word correctly. I can tap it and change it to yellow. So it's found the color for me. So this is how I can add words, and I can add many items together, and it automatically adds the corresponding images, and it also assigns the background color. Since they were adjectives, it's added it in blue background. So as you can see, a lot of the work is already done by the app, and all you need to do is readjust and change the positions of words that you've added. So this is a simple way to actually add words. So when you add a new word, you can add a new category, which is a new folder, or new message, which is a new icon, or many items together, which is, you can add several of these words together and it automatically adds the details as well. Let's see how we can actually go ahead and change some of them. So if you added, so let's say you have added a word, and I can go into the food and do a change.
Food. breakfast,
So if I wish to call it as something else, I can do that. I go into the edit mode, which is on top. Let's say the egg, I can do a change and then change it here. So this gets changed, and so I can get a suitable image for it as well. I just have to scroll through this. If I find symbol, it locates it for me here. Now there is also a web version where I can even get web images for this. As you can see, this is coming from the internet. These are all, this is a very useful feature that was actually discontinued a while back, but is now coming back in the new version, which is about to release very soon. So you will get copyright-free images, which we automatically search from the internet and provide you. So you can search for some of the words which are not there in our library. You can search on the web. So you can see two buttons here. The symbols is from our symbol sticks library, and the web gives you web-based images, web-based photographs. So you don't have to step outside to copy and paste and download a photograph. It comes in automatically into the app. The next one that we would be looking at is the audio section. You can see a speak as section at the bottom. So here, if you have to change the pronunciation of the word, if it is not pronounced correctly, you can also enter a phonetic spelling of the word here. For example, Mexican names or other language names, especially Mexican food items, are differently pronounced. So if the pronunciation is not suitable, then you can actually change the pronunciation. For example, fajitas, things like that, you can enter it as you speak it, so with a Y, so that the pronunciation is correct. You can even test the pronunciation here and record your own. So the red button that you see on the right is a recording button. So if you want to say so it would ask you if you wants to use your microphone. Scrambled egg, and I can play this. Scrambled egg. Yeah, so that gets saved as the word, as the audio. I just deleted it. But you can actually, it gets saved, and if you don't have the correct pronunciation, you can record it. The recording feature was also a powerful one, and is quite useful, especially for speaking words in different languages. So several of our users are using Avaz itself entirely in a different language, and rather than the app reading out the word, they use recorded audio for every word that is there in the pictures. So that's another powerful feature that helps you with customizing and localizing the app to different languages. So this is the Avaz edit window, and you do have the caption, which is the text, and the image details, the color details, and the audio details. And as you can see, you can scroll through different options to find the images that are appropriate. And if you don't wish to use any images, you can even use the button there to actually display it as a word, which is also a possibility. So this is the edit mode. As I mentioned in the search, I'd like to take you through the search again, because there is a powerful feature that we've introduced in our new version of the search. Let's say I go to craft, and as you can see that there is a C path option. When I search for the word, I can make the app model the path for me. So it shows me how to find the word. How do I look for the word craft? So it shows me that things has to be tapped. And it shows me to, I have to move it here. Okay, I think it's getting stuck somewhere because this is still not the final version. Um, but it would basically model and show you where to find the word that you're looking for. We can try with Apple. Save path. You go into food. So it shows you that it's under fruits. And that's where you find the word apple. So it shows you typically how to reach the word so that it registers in your mind more easily and helps you see the typical path that is taken, and it sort of models the search for you. This is a useful feature, and this is very recently introduced. It's not yet out in the market, but this will be available in our next release that's just coming. This was based on a feature request by Kate Ahern, and I think it's going to be a very useful feature for you. Okay, now moving on, I'd like to show you for the edit word. So when you go into the edit mode, you can also tap several words. You can do a copy. So I can copy the entire folder, or I can just copy a bunch of them. I can select several words to copy. I can do a copy, and then I can go to a different screen and then paste it there. So it just pastes it. I can even select the 3 and then delete it. I can also do, so let's say I don't want to show these words. I can just do a hide so that it hides it from the child's view. When I come out of edit mode, they are hidden from the child's view, but it still remains so that when you introduce the child, you don't want all the words to be exposed for the child. So you might want to hide it and then show it at a later point. So that is a pretty useful feature. The other one is the print that you see right down here at the bottom. I can go into a particular folder and then say print. So what this does is I can make an Avaz book with this category. And when I do that, it generates a book of page-wise screens of Avaz of this particular category alone. So I don't need to download the entire book, the entire content. This just has about 8 pages. So it just replicates the Avaz screens in a hard copy format, and it creates it as a .pdf file, which you can mail to yourself. So if I tap this, I will see a mail option, and you can send it as a PDF file to yourself or to anywhere, and to get a printout, and you can actually spiral bind it and save it so that you can laminate it and use it as a backup for the child, so that even if the software or the iPad is not available due to charging, or whether it's not nearby, or he's out at a restaurant, or he goes out for swimming, but you always have a backup. And because the child's voice typically should be available 24/7, and this is one of the ways by which you can ensure that, by just taking a backup of the vocabulary and the folders that he uses, and laminate it and store it as a folder. You can keep adding pages to it as and when the vocabulary grows, and that's something that is always going to be there with him. So this is a useful feature that is also quite unique. You can also export and import this category, which means you can just take folder wise, you can export it as a backup and move it to a different device rather than exporting the entire vocabulary. So that is a useful feature. Now, so this is about the edit mode. Let me take you through some of the main settings that is there for the picture mode. You have a, so there is a way by which you create a new backup, and backup is the way by which you not only take a backup of the content but also move the content to a different iPad. So let's say you have the child's iPad, the child using a specific vocabulary in school, and you want to transfer the same vocabulary to his home iPad, then there is a way to do it. And the way you do it is by creating a new backup. So it'll tell you backup as on this date, or you can even call it by the name of the child. You can say, let's say, Tom's backup, and you can even give the date, say 22nd September. So you can create a backup and with a child's name. Now, when you tap the restore, you can, this is a new feature we've added, and I'm sure many of our users will be happy to see it. It's a share via airdrop. So this is a very simplified way of transferring the content through airdrop. So you don't need to connect through iTunes or through Dropbox. The existing method is to transfer the content through as a backup through Dropbox or through iTunes. But we've tried to simplify this in the upcoming version, and you can actually transfer it via airdrop. So this would really simplify the process because you don't need to have cables to connect or logins for Dropbox. It's a very simplified process, and it would automatically transfer it if you keep airdrop open in both. So this is the new feature we are adding in the upcoming release. We do have a settings wizard, and this is something that will prompt you for answering some of the questions that will help you set up Avaz if you go through it. So when you actually set up Avaz, this gives you like a preset options for settings that would be most suitable for the child depending on his age. So let's say he's 6 and you can say it's a girl or a boy, so then you can check some of the voices.
Hello, my name is Sam, and this will be my voice. Hello, my name is Sam, and this will be my voice.
So you can select.
Look forward to communicate.
You can select a voice for the child. You can also set up some of these if the child is new to picture-based communication, or is he transitioning from pictures to text, etc. And depending on his audio-visual skills or motor skills, it can help set up some of these. So these are some. It's a very basic settings wizard. And of course, you can always go to settings and set it up yourself and override these settings that are there. Now, these are some of the basic picture mode settings. So the pictures in message box can be removed. Now, pictures per screen is an important one, where you can start with even as little as 1 picture or 2 pictures. And as you can see, it shows instantly. So this makes it very easy for you to test whether this is suitable or not. Now, when it comes to 15 pictures, this is level 1, as we treated this as level 1 of vocabulary. So this is the pop-up that comes when it changes to level 2. As you can see that between level 1 and level 2, there is very minimal changes in the vocabulary positions and locations, so that we are trying to retain the motor patterns, so that it eases the child's transition from one level to the next level of vocabulary. We try to retain it for level 2 and 3 as well. Now so the 60 pictures and 77 pictures are a result of, again, yet another request from users. So the vocabulary may not be always in place. You'll have to rearrange the vocabulary to suit your child's needs. So it does go up to 77 pictures all the way, from 1 picture to 77 pictures. Now we do have a caption size, which is small, medium, and large. And you also have the option of having no text and only image when the child is quite new to AAC. And you can also change it to only text and no image. So there is a way by which you can actually transition the child from pictures to text in a very gradual manner. All the prompts that we have provided, we've made sure that there is a way by which you can fade away the prompts, the visual prompts. And that is the reason that we've trying to provide options to withdraw the visual supports and provide. We do have a high contrast option for children with visual needs. And we also have a way by which you can remove color coding if you don't want the child to depend on it. So you don't color code, you color code background, and you can also, there is a fading mechanism by which the strategy is to introduce just a line that assists the child to differentiate rather than the background color. Now the zoom on select, the zoom is the enlargement of the icon. So it's useful, it's a good reinforcement for children who are just starting off with AAC. But over a period of time, if you wish to remove it, you can by removing the zoom option. And you can also vary the speed at slow and medium speeds. You also have a home screen by which you can set level 1, level 2, or level 3, which are these 3 specific levels of vocabulary. You can remove the page swipe. So when you turn that off, it gives you a previous page and next page options, as you can see here at the bottom. This replaces the mistake button and the alert button and allows the child to use the buttons to scroll the page. This is useful for children who have issues with motor skills and which may result in accidental swipes of the screen. So in order to prevent that, we provided this option of removing the page swipe. For children who are a little more into text, we do have grammar options, and this allows, so when you want to say want, it gives you the various options of grammar: wanted, want, wants, wanting, will want. So it starts from the past, the present, present continuous, and future. So it gives you all the variations and helps the child learn the different options and form grammatically correct sentences. So that is a useful feature, and you can have it either in picture mode or keyboard mode. That's something that you can specify. So yeah, these are the typical settings for the picture mode. And you can even toggle between the picture and the keyboard mode. So let me take you through to the keyboard mode. It's just a single tap away on the top left corner and a tap back to come back into pictures. So it's easy to toggle between the two while forming sentences. Yeah, so this is the picture mode. This is the keyboard mode, and you can start.
I space W A N T. I want.
As you can see,
Space.
You can see as you type. So if I remove the word I want,
I space
W
A.
As I type the word, you can see that the words with WA are prompted here and predicted along with pictures. And this is a a powerful feature because it not only shows you the text but also shows you the image that goes with the text. So this is a good visual prompt for the child. So even if they are not very sure of the spelling or the word, the picture is always there to prompt them for it. And it also helps them learn the spelling faster. And it's also acts as an aid for poor spellers. So you can select the words from here. I want. So let's say you want to say, I want to go home. So the word to is already prompted. I want to, when you say I want to, it says I want to be, I want to go, I want to do, I want to ask. So it shows all the relevant predictions for the word I want to, for the phrase I want to. So it's a phrase level prediction, which makes it much easier to find the words you want and makes the communication much faster. I want to go to school, if you were to say, I want to go to school. So as you can see, I didn't have to type a single letter beyond I and WA, and the rest of the words are predicted. So it's pretty easy to form sentences this way using the prediction. And there is also a way by which you can remove the pictures in prediction because you don't want the child to depend on it entirely. So there is a way by which you can remove that in the settings. When you go to prediction and you say predict with pictures is off, so it would turn it off. So this helps the child not remain completely dependent on pictures. Now there is also a way by which you can delay the onset or the display of pictures. You can say I want the pictures to be predicted after a delay of a few seconds. So this would help the child to actually attempt doing it on his own. I'm not setting that up, but you can try it at your leisure. You can set up a delay and see whether it, so it gives the child a chance to predict the word themselves or to find the word themselves, after which the prediction kicks in. So you can also limit the prediction for the current word or the next word. We do have a very interesting one called phonetic match. And so if I want to say something like phone and I'm not sure how to spell it, and I spell it as Phone, it would still predict the word phone, Phone, so that I can correct it. So this came out of one of our visits to one of the schools, and where the child was trying to spell ocean with OSH, and so that's when it got us thinking as to how can we help that child who is trying to spell, who's not sure how to spell, and he couldn't find the word that he wanted to find. So we figured that we can help him with a phonetic spell software that helps us predict the word ocean even if he spells it as OSH. So this way, it's a phonetic spell check as well. This is again a useful feature that several children find very useful. So this is about the prediction capabilities. And now if you have frequently spoken words, you can also save and load them back at a single click. So let's say I want to say let me just turn off the zoom option so that it makes it faster. I live with my family. Okay, let's say we want to save this.
I live with my family.
And I can tap the save button, and I can tap the letter F for family. Okay, so what this does is, and if I delete it and I want to load back the same sentence, I just have to tap load, and as you can see, this top layer is all the previously spoken words. It shows the history of the previously tapped sentences that were on the sentence box. And if I tap, when I tap load, it pops up all the words that have been stored. So when I tap the F, it then retrieves the entire sentence that was saved. So I have the entire, so when I tap save, and if I have a specific sentence out there, I can do an undo.
I live with my family.
I can
Space
say
I-N space
in California.
C-A-A
Sorry.
C-A-L-I California.
Okay, so I can save this even on the top row where you have yes, no, thank you, how are you. These are all often used words. I can save it. I can say save and then tap. So as you can see, I've replaced this with I live
with my family in California.
Yeah, so I can replace that. And if I want to replace, so and I can just use that.
I live with my family in California.
So the top row is a layer of sentences that are just spoken without it coming onto the message box. It's useful to have quick responses like please help me or how are you or thank you, things that don't typically need to go into the sentence box. But things like I live with my family in California would be better off in one of these, in one of the, so that I can just load it and then tap it. So I can load and save, I can save and load more than 26 alphabets and 10 numerals. I can save it in any of those spots so that it just becomes easy to retrieve with a single click. So this is the main picture and keyboard. Now I'd like to also take you through the dashboard very briefly. The dashboard is a set of strategies that are used for helping the parent or the caregiver learn how to use Avaz and to learn strategies. So if you go through the practice now, so this actually gives you a bunch of activity-based, uh, daily activity-based practice sentences. Typically, when a parent or a caregiver tries to converse with a child, sometimes we find that the parents say that we're not sure how to talk to him, or what do we really talk about, or they end up mostly asking questions to help the child request. So we would like them to go beyond that and see what are the other kind of things you can actually talk. So let's say it's just a mealtime conversation. This is a typical scenario. So if you look at good morning, it just shows you the path. How do you say good morning? It teaches the parent to say, okay, tap quick. And then here we are. So it helps a parent learn to find the words in the vocabulary. And also a set of sentences that can be spoken using modeling. So let's eat breakfast. So when you say eat breakfast, you can just model 2 words. You don't have to model every word that you speak. So just eat breakfast is good enough. And how do you find eat breakfast? It says go home. So these are all words, these are all being shown to you.
Actions.
You tap actions, and then here is the word eat.
Eat.
So that's how you find eat under actions. And then you go back home, which is what it prompts you to do. And where do I find breakfast? I tap food.
Food.
And the word breakfast is right here.
Breakfast.
So eat breakfast, and that's how you do it. So this is how you go through a bunch of these. There are about 20 sentences under each of these topics, like discuss what happened in school, or reading a book, or going shopping, watching TV, playing in the park. So each of these is a typical scenario, which is a daily or day-to-day activity. And these are some of the words and how you practice them. So once you go through a series of these about 15 or so activities, it would give you a lot more, what should I say, confidence about where to locate the different vocabulary and what is the vocabulary that exists in Avaz and how to use it. Now the other part is the let's learn strategies, and this would help you actually know how to start talking to the child. And this is through a kind of an interactive game that we built called Com Adventures, where we present Johnny as the hero, and he's a little boy who's new to AAC. And how do you actually have a conversation with him? And with each conversation, we try presenting different options, and depending on what option you select, we try telling you if that is the best option, if so, why is it so, and if there's a better option, why would that be better. So that helps you get a better sense of how to talk to the child and how to engage with him and how to provide the intervention. For example, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and how do you start a conversation? And you scroll to find the options. Isn't it a beautiful and lovely morning? Or do you say, good morning, Johnny? Or would you say, hi, Johnny, I was wondering if you slept well last night? So if you just say, isn't it a beautiful and lovely morning? Then you would see that Johnny is a little um, not so happy because he finds complex and abstract language difficult to understand. Try to keep your language simple. That is a tip that we say, which is a better way to communicate. So when you say good morning, his face bright lights up, and we say that, yeah, greetings are a great opportunity for communication. So even greetings is good to start with. So you just start with good morning and do it on the AAC device and model it. So now again, do you want to have sandwiches, pancakes, or something different? Or would you tell him, I have oranges, pancakes, apples, sandwiches, which one do you want? And if you select this, he looks perplexed because providing too many choices can be confusing for Johnny. Remember, he's just beginning to communicate. And if you just tap this, it says, giving him a choice between two items is a good way to start. Offering him the option of something different gives him a chance to express a preference outside the choices given to him. So it just gives you some of the do's and don'ts and some guidelines. And how do you build on that? So when you say, the sandwich looks yummy, so it gives you more how to extend the vocabulary and how to communicate using comments rather than just restraining it to questions, because comments impose no demands on the child and instead draws their attention. So this way, there are a lot of these tips that are there, and this is the Let's Learn strategies, and this is given under each of these activities. So if you go through them, it gives you a good idea of how to actually converse with the child. This is again a useful one. So these are the typical features. I'm just wondering if we are getting to the close of the time. So I'd like to give a little time if you wish to ask any questions. But before that, I would also like to go through a few more details on the settings. There is one setting which is useful, which is share Avaz messages, which I think I didn't mention it earlier. This gives you an option of you can either email the message, or you can send it by iMessage or share it on Facebook and Twitter. So the emailing, when you say that,
Eat breakfast.
whichever option you choose, when you tap the message box, it pops up the icon and
Eat breakfast.
okay, it's not, for some reason, not registering it, but it opens up the share message. It would take you into the email box and allow you to share it as an email, and it would send the email with the picture. And similarly on iMessage, it shares it as a text message on iMessages and also shares it on Facebook and Twitter. I guess that I have covered most of the important parts. There is a help button on the top, as you can see it. This allows you to go to frequently asked questions, which is on our website, and that can be a good place to look for any kind of questions that you may have regarding Avaz, and it's pretty useful, and that is directly linked also on our website and also from here directly from the app. When you say, there is also a chat interface that we have, and if you are online at that time, we'll provide you instant support. And we also have explain the screen, which will show you the screen and the features specifically to the screen you are on. It is a context specific help screen. So depending on which screen you are currently displaying and using, it would explain every button on that screen. So this is a quick reference kind of option for you. And of course, you can always write to us on support@avazapp.com. And I'll be happy to go through any questions that you may have. Please feel free to ask me questions on the questions panel. I can see one question: how do you babble? I'm not sure what you mean by this. Maybe you can elaborate on the question window. But if you mean that you can write anything, you can go into the keyboard, and I don't think you can really babble, but as in write whatever you want, because you do write words, but you can write. I mean, even if you write, I can just write anything at all. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by babble, but this is, you can write any alphabets that you want in the keyboard mode. Okay, thanks for the clarification. How children specifically search for words that may not be there? Okay, so you go into the keyboard mode and you tap the search button that is right up there on the top right corner, and you can search for words. Let's say you want to search for Disney or Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut. So it shows you the words that are there. So you can see if I say pizza, it shows me Pizza Hut, Domino's Pizza. So it shows me all of these, and I can just tap it to go there directly, or if I say see path, it takes me to the path. It shows me the path, how do I reach there.
Food. Meals.
Yeah, so this is how you can actually model the path to reach.
Home.
Sorry. I hope I've answered your question, Shannon. Thank you for that. Any other questions that you may have? Please write in on the questions panel. Yeah, regarding, okay, yeah, you're most welcome, Lisa. Thank you for staying with us and staying till the end of the presentation. I hope you found it useful. And if you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them. You can. Thank you so much. You can definitely write into us anytime at support@avazapp.com. And we do have. Let me just take you through this. So just before we wind up, I'd like to add that our AAC mantra that we use is to presume competence. That the first and most important thing is that you have to believe that the child is capable and competent. So it starts with that, and if that is there, and your faith in the child, and you not only have faith in the child, but also make sure that you use AAC in all settings, whether it's in school, in the park, at home, with friends, while shopping. So the more you use it, the more he gets to see how it is used, and he will learn to mimic the way it is being used by seeing you use it. And we also believe that you can use motivation to help him to communicate. So some of the Weatherby and Prisant are the ones who have done this research on motivating communication, and I'm sure you can find some of their works online. And these are some of the examples, though it may seem cruel, but eating your child's favorite ice cream in front of him without offering him any would actually prompt him to ask for it. So, or another instance is placing your child's favorite food item and not allowing him access to it would force him to actually communicate and try to communicate. So these are some of the ways in which you can actually motivate communication. Last but not the least, we just have a brief featuring of Avaz versus other apps. And this is to show you that we've compared it with Proloquo and TouchChat, which are a couple of the more most popular apps around. So we do have analytics, we have simulated scenarios in the dashboard section, and we have definitely a seamless integration between keyboard and picture modes so that it eases the child's transition. And some of the features we've listed here is ability to print vocabulary is something that we have. So yeah, this is just a brief comparison. And so our pricing and subscription, if you wish to know, we have a light version and a pro version. The light version offers you a 1 week free trial with a monthly and includes a monthly offers a monthly subscription of $9.99 and a lifetime subscription of $199.99. And the pro version is a one-time purchase of the App Store, and it is useful for schools that can use the VPP option, which is volume purchase plan of Apple, that allows you 20 or more copies at a 50% discount. Now, Avaz Pro is available on the Android as well. Avaz Lite is not as of now. It was there earlier, but it's due to some technical issues, it is no longer available. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the presentation, and I hope you found it useful, and thank you so much for taking your time out to come and listen to the webinar. You are welcome to write back to us at support@avazapp.com for any further queries. If you have any questions, you can write to me now. Okay, that brings us to the close of the webinar. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.